Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us for another edition of Advancement Live. My name is Ryan Catherwood and I am coming to you live from the grounds of the University of Virginia here in Charlottesville, Virginia. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, thank you so much. Advancement Live airs twice a month on the second and last Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Advancement Live is part of the HigherEdLive network, which is a series of professional development web shows. Also podcasts, which you may be familiar with already, but if you have not listened to the podcast, you can download the app from iTunes or go to higheredlive.com and do the same. Be part of our broadcast, of course, by tuning in live to the back channel. If you use the hashtag HigherEdLive during the course of the broadcast, we will be monitoring that, and you can ask questions to our panelists today. And finally, be sure to subscribe to the HigherEdLive newsletter by going to the higheredlive.com website. Let me begin the show by introducing our excellent sponsors. iModules is one of our fantastic sponsors, and they have their annual user conference called Sizzler, which is a 3-day event for networking, sharing, and learning industry best practices, and you can join over 500 higher education professionals representing more than 225 organizations. That conference is coming up the end of July, July 27th through the 30th in Overland Park. And also, a sponsor of Advancement Live are our good friends at M. Stoner. The show is produced by M. Stoner, in fact, which is a marketing and communications firm that works with educational institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and for almost all of us, reunions are a hugely important signature event that is perhaps the weekend on the calendar for almost all of our institutions. Today we're going to focus on some interesting ideas when it comes to marketing and communication, getting folks to register for events, how volunteers can be infused into the mix, as well as what makes a great reunion program. So my first guest that I'd like to introduce to you is Jenna Webb, and she is at Colgate University. Beginning July 1, Jenna Webb will be serving as the Director of Alumni Relations. Jenna is a 2002 graduate of Colgate and has worked for her alma mater for 4 years, leading reunion preparations, supervising staff, and building online engagement programs. In her new role, she will be expanding to assume some of the day-to-day operations of the Alumni Relations Office, which includes budget and staff and programs. Jenna, how are you this fine day?
I'm doing well, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the program. I actually attended my 10-year reunion a couple years ago, and one of the things I loved the best about the experience was the opportunity to stay in the dorms. I felt like that was one of the highlights, and it really waking up on a dorm bed after having had too much to drink the night before. I mean, I feel like that is the crux of the reunion experience. How did you and your team, and you guys do that at Colgate, how do you and your team make the decision to have guests stay in the dorms, and what are some of the logistical hurdles in order to make that happen?
Sure. Well, I would say one of the biggest reasons that we do open up our dorms on campus for our guests to stay is our location. Colgate is located in Hamilton, New York. It's a very, very small rural town, so our hotel options, bed and breakfast options are very limited. So in order to really have and allow for maximum capacity for people to attend, we have to have local options for people to stay. So our hotels fill up, bed and breakfasts fill up, a lot of folks rent out their homes, but really a lot of people stay on campus. So we utilize pretty much all of our on-campus residential facilities.
I'm sure it's an amazing operation to get all the administrative components organized. And I know that's one of your colleagues does that. What are some of the tasks that she has to work through?
Well, I would say first one of the big hurdles that we have to deal with is that the semester ends, so the academic year ends. Our facilities team has to come through, go through all of those residential facilities, clean them up, take any ones that might be damaged or need repair, take those offline. We also, so after the semester ends, we open all of those dorm facilities for parents to stay in for commencement. So all of those spaces are filled, and then 2 weeks later, facilities has to turn those all around for reunion. So it's quite the it's quite the busy turnaround time. It's very quick, and we're thankful to have such a great team that's able to do that for us. And some of the hurdles that we do have to deal with are we have any sort of damage to the residence halls, where we end up finding out that some of those halls might be or some rooms might be taken offline and that we're not able to use. Colgate also has, I think, around 300 or so students that stay on campus every summer for research, athletic reasons, or maybe international students that can't go home. So we do have some housing that we're not able to use because they are being used for students that are staying over the summer. So that's another thing where we're limited with what we can provide to people.
And so one of the challenges, of course, when you're arranging that kind of a housing situation is you'd like to ideally arrange for the different reunion years to be together in the different dorms. Is that sort of something that you guys work on, and are events specific to those classes arranged in close proximity to those relevant dorms?
Well, one of the things we do is, like you had mentioned, we have one staff member that does focus on our housing. We try to honor all requests for where people would like to stay. We have folks that request to stay in certain dorms, folks that request to stay in proximity to their friends, or in their fraternity or sorority houses. So we really try to honor all of those requests. We look to put families in apartments so that it's a little bit more space. They have kitchens and things like that should they need to store food for children. But really, one of the big things is we're on a hill, so a lot of the reunion activities are down at the bottom of the hill. Classes and reunion college sessions are at the top of the hill. So the big thing that we always try to do is we try to make sure that our older classes, or the folks that might not be able to walk up and down the hill or get up and down the hill as easily, we keep them housed in the dorms that are located right near Whitnall Field, so that it's easier for them to go back and forth between reunion festivities and their housing.
And I have to imagine there's probably a few golf carts cruising around well during the course of your reunion weekend.
Yeah.
And looking at your website before we had the chance to chat, and then during our pre-show call, Jenna, we talked a lot about your huge program of events. I mean, you guys really have a substantial opportunity for alums to engage and go to different things all through the course of the weekend. One of those particular items is alumni speakers. Can you talk a little bit about how alumni speakers are selected to speak at class events?
Sure. That's something that we call a reunion college program. So we basically have probably anywhere from 50 to 60 programs. Presenters range from faculty, staff, and alumni. And we try to offer a really diverse program for all attendees, so that there's something that everyone can find and attend that piques their interest. We look to go to our faculty members that are, alumni favorites. They are doing very interesting research. Our admissions topics, those are always hot items, so we look to them and extend invitations to them. But then when it comes to our alums, we look for suggestions from account executives, from our volunteers, program chairs, and then we try to take into account what's out there, what those suggestions are, anyone that we know, and we try to make sure, like I said, that we offer a diverse program. We want to try to cover everything from athletics to art to science. We have visualization lab showings, presentations on research, documentary screenings. So we really try to offer a lot, and we also try to look to make sure that we have all of the reunion class years represented as well. We want to make sure that everyone from the 5th reunion attendees all the way up to the 50th and 60th have the option to go and see one of their classmates speak.
And then, like most reunions also have some, we'll call them standard or signature events that are there almost every year. These are really the crowd pleasers, if you will. What are some of the events that are standard on your program, and why do you guys keep them around?
Sure. Well, we have a lot of standard things, and I'm sure that other universities have things like this as well. Things like an awards ceremony, parades, things, barbecues, all banquets and things like that are specific and enjoyable to various classes. But what we like to do is we like to try to find things that are unique to Colgate, that attendees can really enjoy. One of the things we have is we have our torchlight procession. That's something that that is held every year at commencement. So our graduates process down the hill from the Colgate Chapel and end at a big bonfire where they're all carrying torches. So we offer that at reunion, and that's something that our attendees really, really enjoy. We also have a parade on Saturday morning, and that's something that really, within the past couple of years, we've moved it down into the village. So that's something that our older alums really love, the tradition of walking together down Oak Drive as a class. And then it also gets people into the village. So it's really, after the parade, the village is just bustling with activity. There's farmers market. People are going to check out all of the businesses. So it's really enhanced town relations when everybody's in town. We also, we have our awards ceremony. That's something that we really enjoy, being able to honor and appreciate our alums that have dedicated years of service and commitment to the university, and it also allows us to thank and appreciate staff and faculty for their service as well. And then another thing that we have that's very special every year is our 50th reunion memorial service. That's something that's, we work very closely with volunteers from the 50th reunion, and it's a really, really nice moment for the class to all gather and remember those in their class who have passed away. It's a very touching service that we have right before their class photo and their parade.
Great. And we had talked a little bit about your actual physical program, almost your weekend guide, if you will. And it is, of course, as if you have all these events, you have to have an extensive program guide. What are some of the processes that you guys go through creating the program from a design standpoint? And then who's there making updates along the way? And is there a corresponding web listing to all of that?
Sure. So one of the things that we do, and I'll be sitting down with folks in communications later this summer. We have a great relationship with our communications team. So they're the ones that actually put the printed materials together. But we have a timeline that we prepare with them in the late summer that kind of organizes and lays out all of our printed marketing pieces with the conclusion of that timeline being the printed program. So we know when we need to get information and data to them so that it can be turned around and printed in time. So that's how that is done. They have their team that then designs, the cover, the logos, anything that goes inside. But in terms of the actual management of the data, that's somebody on our staff who is managing all of those Reunion College sessions. We have all of that information. Any sort of standard events that we have, general information that needs to be included in the booklet, all of our volunteer names. We compile all of that listing together, and we share that with our communications team once we set everything into the schedule, and then they work it into a printed document. And so we have a deadline as to when things need to officially go to print. So there is that cutoff of when we can no longer make changes, but that is where we utilize our online program. Our reunion site is available at colgate.edu/reunion, and so that's something where folks can go and take a look at the program that is current and update. They can look at that throughout the weekend. And then we also include an addendum that if there are any changes, additions, or cancellations, or revisions to times that we include in our registration packet as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on Advancement Live today, and congratulations on your promotion there at Colgate. I think if you're in the alumni relations business, then it is a pretty cool thing to be running the shop at your alma mater. I would like to mention that iModules conference coming up, the 8th user conference, the Sizzler, is also introducing a new engagement strategies track, which featuring topics on sessions about strategic planning, online networking, events, mobile-ready sites, strategic consulting, and new profile pages, along with social media. So if you haven't had the chance to register for the iModules Sizzler conference, you're going to want to go ahead and do so as soon as possible. This is Ryan Catherwood coming to you live from University of Virginia. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Advancement Live. I hope you'll come back again next time. Thank you. See ya.